We're halfway. I'm trying to hurry so it's not super long. All right, number 12, solve 5x squared plus 13x equals 6. This is a trinomial, so we need to change this around to get 0 on one side and then factor. So I'm going to do this on scratch paper here. Okay, so I'm going to find all the... All right, so then I have to multiply the first term times the last term. And I get negative 30. So I want to find all the factors of negative 30 that add up to positive 13. So what about negative 3 times 10 or negative 10 times 3? Do negative 10 and 3 or negative 3 and 10 add up to positive 13? No. What about 2 and 15? Well, maybe. I could do negative 2 and positive 15. Negative 2 times 15 is negative 30. Negative 2 plus 15 is 13. Perfect. So I'm going to have 5x squared. What did I say? Plus 15x minus 2x minus 6 equals 0. So all I did was replace 13x with 15x minus 2x. And I got these two numbers because I had to find all the factors of negative 30 that added up to 13. These two numbers, and I just split it up. Okay, so now that I've got 4 terms instead of 3, I can group. So I'm going to group these two guys, and I'm going to group these two guys. And remember, when I don't have a sign left in between, I know it's really a plus sign. Okay, so then what can I divide both of these guys by? Well, it looks like I can divide them both by 5x. What can I divide both of these guys by? Looks like I can divide them both by negative 2. So I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to put 5x in front. Everything left over after I divide in parentheses. Negative 2 in front. Everything left over after I divide in parentheses. 5x squared divided by 5x is x. Excuse me. 15x divided by 5x is positive 3. Negative 2x divided by negative 2 is x. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3. And what do we notice? That both of our parentheses match, which is what we wanted. I'm smearing the pen here. So I'm going to rewrite that in front one time, x plus 3. I pulled both of those out. And now I want to pull both of the leading coefficients out and write their own two binomial with both of those leading coefficients. Okay, so my two binomials are x plus 3 times 5x minus 2, and it might also be written as 5x minus 2 times x plus 3. This is the same thing as this, okay? So we want to look at our answers. Oh, I forgot. We're solving, so we didn't set equal to 0. Sorry, my fault. So then we want to set each of these equal to 0. 5x minus 2 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. Well, we know for x plus 3, we have to subtract 3, so x is going to equal negative 3. For this guy, we're going to add 2 to both sides and then divide by 5. So we'll get x equals 2 over 5. Okay, so 2/5 or negative 3. That's our two answers. For number 12, 2/5 or negative 3. Here's negative 3. Here's positive 2/5. H for number 12. Number 13, factor 196w squared minus 81z squared. This is going to be the difference of two squares. I don't know if 196 is a perfect square. Maybe it is. I don't know. 81 is. It is. 14 is the square root. Okay, cool. So I've got the difference of two perfect squares here. So I know my answer is going to be two binomials, one with a plus, one with a minus, but the terms are going to be exactly the same in each binomial, right? So the square root of 196w squared is 14w. I just found the square root of 196 is 14. And the square root of 81z squared, square root of 81 is 9, so that'd be 9z. So 14w plus 9z times 14w minus 9z. Both of these have a plus, so that's out. Both of these have a minus, so that's out. This has a plus and this has a minus, and this says it can't be factored. So we know that's out, so it's C. This matches this. Number 14. I hope you're doing well so far. If not, go back and review. All right, we have to solve, and I need a new sheet of paper here to solve. I need to distribute, so I've got -4 times 5 minus 2n equals 8 times -6 minus 5n. Okay, so I'm going to distribute that -4. -4 times 5 is -20. Bring down that minus sign. -4 times 2n is -8n equals 8 times -6, -48. Bring down that minus sign. 8 times 5n is 40n. And we're solving this now. I don't have any squared terms here, so I'm just solving for n. There's no quadratic equation here that we have to factor. Okay, so here I'm going to change this double minus to a plus. I need to get n on one side, so I've got an 8n and a -40n. I need to get rid of the smallest. So I'm going to get rid of minus 40n by adding. And I got to do the same thing on this side of the equal sign. These go away. So I've got -20 plus 48n equals -48. I need to get n alone, so I'm going to add 20. This goes away. 48n equals -28. And then divide by 48. Divide by 48. N equals something negative, right? If I divide by 2, I'm terrible at this. If I divide by 4, I get -7 over 12. So we should get n equals -7 over 12. J, -7 over 12. Number 14 is J. Okay, number 15, solve. So we've got to start distributing here. We are going to end up with an x squared term. And here. Okay, so x times x is x squared plus x times 3 is 3x. Then I've got that -2 hanging off the end equals 2 plus x times x is x squared. Bring down that plus. X times 1 is x. Okay, so I've got an x squared term, an x squared, an x term, and a plain number. So I know this is going to be a trinomial, and I want to get 0 on one side, right? And I want to leave my x squared terms alone. So first thing I want to do is get rid of one of them so that I don't have a negative x squared term. So here I've got x squared, here I've got, oh, they're going to end up canceling each other out. Because if I subtract x squared here, and I got to do the same thing on the other side of the equal sign, they're both going to go away. Nice. So then I'm left with 3x minus 2 and 2 plus x. So 3x minus 2 equals 2 plus x. This is what we're dealing with now. I want to get rid of my smallest x. 2x minus 2 equals 2. Add 2 to both sides. That's 2x equals 4. Divide both sides by 2, and x equals 2. So my answer is going to be B, x equals 2. All right, number 16. Can't zoom in because I get rid of my choices. Sorry, it's so sloppy. All right, number 16, which binomial is a factor of 80y squared minus 120y plus 45? Okay, so here we can do a little bit of factoring. Let's work on that. 80y squared minus 120y plus 45. Okay, first thing I know is that I can divide all of these by 5, right? So I might be able to divide by more, but I know at least by 5. So I'm going to divide everything by 5. 5 goes into 80. 1 and then 6. 16y squared minus 5 goes into 120. 24 times. Plus 45 divided by 5 is 9. All right, and I can't do any more than that. All right, so now I've got this guy, and whenever I have a number in front, remember I have to multiply. So 16 times 9, and I get positive 144. And I automatically know, not that I know all big number factors, but I know that 144 is the square of 12. 12 times 12 is 144, right? So I'm looking for the factors of 144 that add up to negative 24. What about negative 12 times negative 12? Yeah, that works. So I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to write 16y squared, and then I'm going to separate this guy into negative 12 minus 12, negative 12y, negative 12y, and then still plus 9 on the end, right? I just changed this middle term to write it this way. It's still negative 24y. Negative 12y minus 12y is negative 24y. I just split it up into two terms. How do I know how to split it up? That first step, multiply the first number by the last, 144, factors of 144 that add up to the middle number. The only two numbers that I can use are negative 12, negative 12. Now I want to group. So I'm going to group these two guys and these two guys. And I know there's a plus sign in between here. So what can I divide these guys both by? Well, it looks like 4y. And what can I divide both of these guys by? Well, I know I've got a positive number and then a negative sign, and here I've got the opposite, a negative number and a positive sign. So I know I at least have to divide by something negative, right? And it looks like both numbers can be divided by 3. Okay, so I'm going to write that number in front, and then everything left over after I divide goes in parentheses. Write this number in front, and everything left over after I divide in parentheses. So 16y squared divided by 4y is 4y. Negative 12y divided by 4y is negative 3. The y's cancel. Negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. Okay, over here, negative 12y divided by negative 3 is positive 4y. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. And I can see that my parentheses here, oh man, that's running, match. So I'm going to pull both of these out over here and write 4y minus 3 one time. And then I'm going to pull the leading coefficients out over here and write 4y minus 3 over here. Okay, so I've got 4y minus 3 times 4y minus 3. If we also look, this is an example of a perfect square binomial, right? Or not perfect square binomial, but when we square a binomial. So when we square 4y minus 3, remember the shortcut to that is square the first term, square the last term. So 4y squared is 16y squared. 3 squared is 9. And then the middle is just this times 2. 4y times 3 is 12y, negative 12y, times 2 is negative 24y. Right? So that's kind of a little shortcut. I didn't recognize it at first, but that's what we got. But when we factor it out, regardless, we get this guy. So what is one binomial? Which binomial is a factor? Well, I got two factors of 4y minus 3. So 4y minus 3 is one binomial. That's F. Okay, number 17, almost done. We just got to get to 21. Number 17. If the area of a square is multiplied by 16, the area becomes 25 square inches. Find the length of x of a side of the square. If the area of a square is multiplied by 16, the area becomes 25. X squared times 16 equals 25. The area of a square could be a squared, and then we multiply it by 16. The answer to that is 25. So then what's x? To solve for this, we're going to subtract 25 on both sides to get 0. So it's going to be 16x squared minus 25 equals 0. And then what do you notice here? It's the difference of two perfect squares. So when that's the answer, I'm going to factor and get two binomials that look exactly the same, but one has a plus, one has a minus. So the first term in each binomial is the square root of this first term. So that'd be 4x. And then the last term in each binomial is the square root of this term. So that's 25, so that's 5. So I get 4x plus 5, 4x minus 5, that equals 0. And I'm trying to solve for x. It can't be negative, so I'm not going to be able to use this answer. Here I'm going to add 5 to both sides and then divide by 4, so I get 5 over 4. Okay? So that's 5 over 4. And in my answer choices here, for x, for the area, for the dimensions of the square, here we go. 5 over 4. B. Number 18, golf. Sisika? I'm going to say it wrong. Sisika hit a golf ball into the air with an initial upward velocity of 56 feet per second. The height above the ground can be modeled by here. So that's our equation that we're going to use. These equations always confuse everybody because there's so much information. All you want to do is find the equation. That's all you care about. And then plug in what it tells you to plug in. So it says the velocity is 56 feet. So V is 56. Can be modeled by blah, 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 where T is the time. Find the time it takes the ball to reach 49 feet above the ground. So when H is 49, what's T? That's what we're figuring out. When H is 49, what's T going to be? So I'm going to use that equation. 49 equals negative 16T squared plus 56T. Okay, so I've got everything I need here to factor a trinomial. Right? I don't want a negative sign in front of my t squared guy, so I'm going to add 16t squared to both sides, and that's going to cancel this guy out, and it's going to make it appear over here. So I'm going to have 16t squared plus 49 equals 56t, and I want to get rid of this guy because I want 0. So minus 56t minus 56t. These go away 0. And I can rewrite my trinomial here as 16t squared minus 56t plus 49. Okay, so here, I can't divide everything by the same thing. I noticed that this guy's a perfect square and this guy's a perfect square. So this might be the result of squaring a binomial, right? So when I square a binomial, when I have one binomial and then I multiply it by itself, to get the first term in my answer, I square the first term. To get the last term, I square the last term. And the middle guy is the first term times the last term times 2. So what do I get here if I divide by 2? I get 28, right? So the square root of this first term is 4t. The square root of this last term is 7. And if I divide this by 2, I get 28. Is 4 times 7 28? Yeah, if I multiply 4 times 7 times 2, I get 56. So I got to figure out in here where my negative sign goes, right, to get this negative 56t. But this is an example of a trinomial you'll get after you square a binomial. Okay, so the middle term here, I'm going to get negative 28. So I'm thinking I'm going to have a negative 7 and a negative 7. Okay, so I'm going to have, just kidding, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to have 4t minus 7 times 4t minus 7. Those are my two terms, okay? 4t times 4t is 16t squared. 7 times 7 is 49. And then in the middle, 4 times negative 7 times 2 gives me negative 56t. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you need to wait and rewatch the video for lesson, what are we on, 8-9. 8-9 shows you how to do this. I'm making the review before I made the 8-9 lesson video, so just wait on that and you can watch it. Okay, so here my two binomials are these two guys. I'm solving this, so it's got to be equal to 0, right? So for each of these, I'm going to get the same answer. So 4t minus 7 equals 0. I'm going to add 7 to both sides and then divide both sides by 4. So the time is going to be 7/4 seconds, which is the same as 1 3/4 of a second. Okay, so let's see if that's one of our answer choices here for number 18. 1 3/4 or 7/4. I got 1 3/4 right here. So this guy, J. Number 18 is J. All right, 2 more and then the bonus. Number 19. The product of 2 consecutive even integers is 224. Find their sum. So consecutive even integers would be n and n plus 2, right? So the product of these two numbers is 224. We want to find the two numbers' sum. So when I multiply n times n plus 2, I get 224. Okay, so when I go ahead and distribute this n, I'm going to get n squared plus 2n, and then if I subtract 224 equals 0, now I've got a trinomial that I can factor, right? So what are all the factors of negative 224 that add up to 2, right? Positive 2. What are factors of 224? Goodness. 2 and 112. That's going to be way too. What about 20? No. Okay, 4 and 56. We've also got 8 and 28. And we've got 14 and 16. And I'm sure there's a lot more, but this is good enough. So I know the difference between 14 and 16 is 2. So that's probably what I'm going to use. I got to get positive 2. One of my two numbers needs to be negative because when I multiply them, I have to get negative 224. When I add them, I have to get positive 2. So I'm going to need negative 14, positive 16. Okay, so my two binomials, there's no number in front here, so we don't need to replace and rewrite. We're just go ahead and filling in our binomials. They're going to be negative 14 and positive 16. I've got an n in front of both of those. And where was I at? Oh, the two integers. Okay, so the two answers I get here are positive 14 or negative 16. So that would be if n was positive 14 and then the next number was 16, or if it was negative 16, that'd be negative 14. The product of two consecutive integers is 224. Find their sum. Okay, so if the two numbers are 14 and 16, they're going to add up to 30. If it's negative 14 and negative 16, it's going to be negative 30. So 30 or negative 30, that's A. Number 19 is A. Okay, remember for integers, consecutive integers, you just call an integer the very first number that you're starting with, we call it n, okay? If it's consecutive integers, then you just keep adding 1, right? N plus 1, n plus 2, n plus 3, n plus 4. If it's consecutive even integers, you add 2. So the first number is n, second number is n plus 2. Then we add 2 more. Then we add 2 more. Then we add 2 more, right? So like for example, if I started out with the number 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 6 is 8, right? We keep plugging in this first number to each of these and adding what it tells us, okay? So it told us that we had two consecutive even integers, so 2 of them would be n and n plus 2. When I multiply them together, I get 224. That's how I know to write out that trinomial, right, the quadratic formula. When I add them together, what do I get? Well, it depends on what the two numbers were. When I solved that formula, I got two different answers. I got to this step right here, so one of the answers I got was positive 14. One of the answers I got was negative 16. Okay, so if my two consecutive integers start with 14, 14 plus 2 is 16. My two numbers would be 14 and 16. If my positive integer here was, if my first integer here was negative 16 and I add 2, that's negative 14. So I've either got 14, 16 or negative 16, negative 14. Either way, when I add them, I get positive or negative 30. Hope that makes sense. Last one, number 20. The length of a rectangle is 5 times the width. The area is 125 square centimeters. What is the length? So the length of a rectangle is 5 times the width. The area is 125 square centimeters. So length times width. So the length is 5W times the width, which is W. That's going to give us 125. So I've got 5W squared equals 125. Divide both sides by 5. W squared equals 25. So take the square root. W's got to equal 5. Okay, so if the width is 5 and the length is 5 times the width is 5, the length is 5 times that, so it's 25. What's the length? 25 centimeters, G. Okay, and then last but not least, you will have a bonus on your test, so I'm going to do the bonus here with you. Factor this guy completely. First of all, I have a 2 in the front, so I either need to multiply by the back, or can I get rid of the 2? Yeah, I can get rid of that 2. I can divide by 2. There's no equal sign here, so I can't completely get rid of it, but I can move it. So I'm going to pull it out front. I'm going to put that 2 out front, and everything left over after I divide in parentheses. So 2 into the 4th squared divided by 2 is just n to the 4th. Bring down that minus sign. 10n squared divided by 2 is 5n squared. Bring down that minus sign. 72 divided by 2 is 36. So now I've got this guy. Now I can factor, right? There's no equal sign, so I'm just factoring. What are the factors of negative 36 that add up to negative 5? The factors of the last number in a trinomial that add up to the middle number. Okay, well, what are some factors of 36? 1 and 36, 2 and, 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9. Do any of these add or subtract to 5? Yeah, 4 and 9 do. So I've got to get them to add together so that they add up to negative 5. So my 9 is going to have to be negative. Positive 4 plus negative 9 is negative 5. Positive 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. Okay, awesome. So I've got this 2 out front. Then this trinomial in here does not have a number in front. So I'm just going to rewrite it as 2 binomials, right? N is the first term. And then my 2 terms here are positive 4 and negative 9. And it said to factor it completely. It didn't say to solve. So I'm done factoring. So my factors of this guy right here are 2, n plus 4, and n minus 9. And I'm done. I can't factor it any more than that. So over here on my answer line, I'm going to write 2 times, what did I say, n plus 4, n minus 9. I hope this helps you. Please practice. Your assignment is a different review than what I've done in the video. The video is just supposed to help you on the assignment review. And then you need to complete your test by Friday. You don't have school Friday, but you do need to complete the test. This is for Good Friday. So if you're watching this a week different than the week before Easter, this doesn't count for you. But for right now, this Friday is April 2nd. We do not have school April 2nd, but this work is due by midnight, Friday, April 2nd. Okay, let me know if you have questions.